there's nothing worse than a beautiful girl walking up the beach with the little bikinis on, wobbling the hips along, trying to look very nice and catch the eye of a decent sort of a gentleman, and forgot to do the bikini line, looking quite rough and rubbing. I can assure you there is nothing worse in the world to turn a boy off or a man off than the old roughness. I can assure you that if anyone wants a bikini line girls done tonight, please don't be shy or frightened. I just sharpened the gear. It's nice and crisp and sharp, and I can assure you that all that I have to do is run it past it, have a look after it, and it won't be there. Anyhow, that's up to you. I'll ask again later on. If anyone does want a haircut tonight, please don't be frightened or shy. I can assure you that I've cut 2,000 or 3,000 heads of hair in the last 8 years here, and I can take her off as good as any barber. She'll be a freebie, cost you nothing. I do men's and ladies, so please don't feel left out, girls. I'll soon give you a trim up, and there's no worries about that. But I will ask again later, so just keep it in mind. But just to start with here, the old shearing shed, it used to be a 12-stand shearing shed before the 1930s. There used to be 6 shearers on each end, and back before the 1930s, all sheep were shorn with these things here. Can anyone tell me what they are? They've got 3 pretty popular names and probably a couple of thousand real bad ones. Oh, they're not scissors. Shears, yes, that's one. They are called shears, tongs, or better known to shearers as shit sticks, but all sheep were shorn with these prior to the 1930s. Oh well, they used machines before the 1930s, but they mainly used these all the time. And machine shearing, I don't know when it was first introduced, that they didn't have a decent sort of a handpiece or anything, so they wasn't real shed out on using them, so they stuck to the things that they knew they could use properly and get the wool off them. But the record for shearing sheep with these was 326 sheep shorn in one 8-hour day with them. Could you imagine jamming them up with wool all day and having the power to keep chomp, chomp, chomp all day? Could you imagine the power in a man's hand? My little hand there, probably broken 200 or 300 backpackers' hands over the last 7 or 8 years, just saying hello, how are you, pleased to meet you, good night, not meaning to hurt anyone at all, but I can assure you there's a fair bit of power in it. But I'd imagine the power in these fellas using these would be probably 20 times as strong as mine, and I have been told that there's 26 bones in a man's hand. I'd imagine if one of these fellas walked up to you and said, "How you going, old mate?" you would have about 500. You'd be hanging like that. It would just absolutely pulverise you. But yep, 326 is the record with those. Just here, I've got a half a sharp pair of tongs. Just grab a bit of that wool out of there, mate. One of them goes. Grab one. I'll just show you how they do work. You can see that they're offset. You've got to cross them over. These are only half sharp. They would be 3 times as sharp as these, but those, you can see, it will still knock the wool off. You want to have a go? Yep, keep it crossed over. You've got to keep it crossed over. Have a go. It'll knock it off, no use about that. Ears, legs, everything at all. But anyhow, that's how they do work. Just a bit of a demo there, show you how sharp they really are. Since the introduction here of the machine shearing and the wide combs introduced from New Zealand about 22 years ago, the record for shearing sheep with the machine and the wide comb is held by a New Zealander, and in one 9-hour day he shore 667 sheep in one 9-hour day. Of course, these records are set on crossbred sheep, which are meat-eating sheep. They're bred, they're nice and tight skinned, straight, there's no wrinkles on them. They're not like the merino sheep where they have loose skin and wrinkles and what have them all over them. All you have to do is aim the machine at them and the wool will spring off them, but he would be doing one probably every 25 or 30 seconds, and you had to down him and snig him out and hold him and what have you, and I can assure you wouldn't have done handstands out of the shed at the end of the day. They would have carried him out on the stretcher, I'd imagine. He'd have been absolutely knackered. But he bred an Aussie by 2 sheep, so records are put there to set to be broken, and that's the way it is. But for shearing merino sheep, the record for shearing merino sheep in one 8-hour day is 416, which was set only about 14 months ago by a fella down at Euroa in Victoria. The previous record to that was 408 sheep. So he rose the bar by 8, so they're starting to get out of their limit there too. But I can assure you merino sheep are a lot harder to shear, and we will be shearing merino sheep tonight. I don't know whether there's any crossbreds there or not, but if there is, we'll shear one of each, and then you'll be able to see the difference between them. But merinos are bred especially for their wool and the wool quality, and I can assure you that the merinos here have some very, very nice wool on them. But just mentioning the white combs and what have you, I will just show you the difference. See these little combs here, these little fellas? They are what Australians shore with right up until about 22 years ago, and then the New Zealanders introduced the white combs into Australia. See, they're about an inch bigger, an inch wider, and we were told never ever to use them, to sit down and go on strike, which we did. We sat down for 11 weeks, near starved to bloody death. The jumbos kicked up in New Zealand, flew all their shearers in, and they shore all day and all night till they dropped, and then they'd have a feed and lay down and have a sleep and get up and tear into them again. And back in those days, shearing was worth about $130 per 100. The Aussie dollar was worth nearly $2 New Zealand dollars. And what they done, they went under bodgy names. They said that they pay their own taxes, which they never ever done. So they just collected all the money that they earned, and then when they went back home, they cashed it back into New Zealand money, and instead of getting $130 per 100, they were getting about $215 per 100. So they went home with a few dollars in their pockets. Good on them, because I can assure you, if someone asked me to shear a sheep with that little narrow comb today, I would tell him to shear it in bloody self. I wouldn't even think about it. I think the wide comb is the greatest thing ever introduced into the industry. With them, you only push them half as fast. You're putting in 2 blows to every 3 blows with one of these. You shear 4 or 5 sheep a run more, which is money in the pocket. At the end of the day, you still feel quite refreshed. You're not absolutely knackered and crashed out like we were when we were using these. We had a job to stand up. And because you don't have to push them as fast, if you get hooked up in the skin, you have time to stop, correct yourself, and then push through again. Since I've been using the wide comb, if I have to sow one sheep every 2 years, I'd be dead unlucky. It would be only because I had a complete idiot or a rat bag that was kicking and raking at me and slipped out of my grip as I was pushing the blow in on him and knocked his jugular out or his gut out or something like that. But when I was using these little narrow combs, you drove them with the full power of your muscle in your shoulder as hard and as fast as you could drive them. If you got hooked up in the skin, you knew you were hooked up. Your machine, you'd be trying to pull back, but your power would keep you pushing through. Your machine would be still cutting. There was nothing to bury your arm in them up to your elbow, to knock their throats out or their